No score as we go to the second here at Bluebell Park in College Station. Great crowd tonight during graduation weekend here on campus. And Rafe Rhymes will lead things off here in the second against Kent. Rhymes hitting .344 in the year, takes strike one. A couple of homers for this young man. And Rod, it's hard to be hitting 90 points below where you were last year and still be having a very good season.
Well, I was getting ready to say he's having a bad year. In his terms, he's having a bad year, but having a great year. I mean, good Lord, not too many guys hit .430.
Here's what he did last night in the mist. Just barrels up baseball.
Well, he's got a flat swing. He doesn't miss too much, and he gets the bat through the zone as good as anybody in college.
Base hit there from Rhymes. He thought about testing Statham after he bobbled the baseball, but after seeing Statham throw out McMullen in the first, he held right there at first base. So another base hit for Rhymes. Last year, the 2012 SEC Player of the Year, and we'll take a look at what he did here against Kent.
Well, he just got a flat swing through the zone, takes this ball, he hits the ball where it's pitched, and they're taught that by Javi Sanchez, who's their hitting coach. One of the things that Javi does every day is he sets up the curveball machine, and they hit off that curveball machine and drive the ball, really work on hitting the ball to the opposite field, and it's one of the reasons why their on-base percentage as a team is so good.
Kent will pitch to Ibarra. Strokes one to left, and Maroney have to take it on a bounce. So back-to-back singles from Rhymes and Ibarra here in the top of the second.
Real good swing here. He's got kind of a high leg kick, but stays back and gets through the ball. Even with that high leg kick, he's able to stay behind the baseball.
There you see Ibarra. After he got the base hit, a quick mound visit here in the top of the second. And there has to be the belief for Texas A&M, if they fall behind by a couple of runs early with Aaron Nola on the mound, it's going to make it so much more difficult to come back.
Well, you've got to figure that this is going to be a low-scoring game. He has a 1.9 ERA. I mean, you're going to be fortunate to get a couple of runs off him, so you're going to have to win this game similar to last night, 2-1, 3-2.
Yeah, Daniel Mengden last night, well, he was outstanding. Had to wait through that 2-hour rain delay before the game would begin, and he was painting. 8 innings, gave up just 5 hits and 1 run as he earned the victory, and you could see a lot of swings and misses.
Well, he had control of all 3 pitches. He was able to bury the breaking ball when he wanted to, and his fastball had some running. He was able to run that on the inside part of the plate all night.
Boy, Texas A&M probably felt like they needed to find a way to get that game in, have Mengden pitch, knowing Nola was going to pitch this evening, trying to get that win streak up to 5 and continue that momentum from where they've been here in the last 2.5 weeks.
Well, they've got to play well down the stretch, and with an RPI of 62, they've got to get that thing into the low 50s after the SEC tournament to have a chance to get in a regional.
See what Kent does here against Ty Ross. He has been the starting catcher for LSU now in 3 straight seasons. See the numbers for Ross, an outstanding defensive catcher, good arm, 207, 3 homers this year. He's going to bunt. He pops one up back over the head of Stein for strike 1.
Well, there's 2 places you can afford to have lack of offense, and that's you want your shortstop to be able to play catch. But more importantly, behind that plate, a great catcher brings so much to the table, even if he's not offensive.
There's Troy Stein, the Aggies catcher. Couple of men on base here in the LSU second inning. Ross wanted to bunt again, but Kent's pitch missed down and out. It's a ball and a strike.
This is where college baseball has changed over the last 4 years. I've never seen LSU sack bunt in the second inning ever, but because of the bats and the lack of offense, these are important 2 runs out there. It's almost like being in the 8th inning.
Tigers had a couple of base hits in the first, unable to score, and back-to-back singles here in the second. And Coach Beneri trying to get some runs off Matt Kent. So Ross to bunt again, but it's back to the mound, and Kent thought about going to third. He'll take the easy out at first with Blake Olivan covering for out number 1. As you see, Rhymes move up to third on the sacrifice from Ty Ross.
Well, Ross was very fortunate there. That's the one place you don't want to bunt the ball. He bunts it right back to the pitcher, and almost had a play at third base. You want to try to get this ball down the third base line is where you're trying to put it. And he bunts it right back to the pitcher. He was fortunate that that ball wasn't bunt any harder, or they'd have thrown him out at third base.
Paul Maneri, his club last night, 0 of 5 with runners in scoring position. 2 men there for Jacoby Jones, who doesn't hit like a number 8 hitter. At least he hasn't here in recent weeks. 285 average, 5 homers, 27 runs knocked in. But, Rod, this was a man hitting well below 200 at the end of March, and now you see his numbers overall.
Well, he's improved so much. And talking to Javi Sanchez yesterday, the hitting coach, he says he thinks this guy's got a chance to really be.
Base hit for Jones. Rhymes will score. Ibarra holds up as Stathem's throw is offline, and the Tigers score first. They lead 1-0. And Jacoby Jones, all the talent and all the tools in the world, and he is really putting it together.
Well, this is why he's improved, because he's using the whole field. But this is another reason why LSU is such an offensive power, is because they hit to all fields. They're not just pull conscious. And here he drives the ball in the 4-hole. Great piece of hitting right there.
Jones had a couple of home runs in that series against Florida, including a grand slam, Rod, that was clocked off the bat at 112 miles an hour. It was the hardest velocity of any ball put in play by a Tiger this year. That's squaring a ball up, too.
Well, he's very athletic.
Stevenson to bunt. This will score a run, and Stevenson out by a step, but the Tigers lead 2-0. As Ibarra is able to come across on well-placed sacrifice from Andrew Stevenson.
Well, I really like this play here. Paul Maneri's safety bunting up the third base line to get that guy in. And what that does is get you a run, get you up now 2-0, and puts the runner at second base. Now a base hit, you pick up 2 runs there, as opposed to rolling over into a double play and you're out of the inning.
Pretty good breaks by both base runners on those bunts. Rhymes earlier, and there Ibarra, and the Tigers have played it a couple of runs. Turns the lineup over for McMullen, who singled back in the first.
Well, I tell you, you've seen a lot of the veteran coaches in the SEC change their philosophy. Ray Tanner went from never bunting before the 5th or 6th inning, that you saw him bunt early, and consequently he won 2 national championships. So he made an adjustment with the bats, and it really paid off for him.
McMullen takes one just outside, a ball and a strike. And there's probably some college baseball fans tuning in to watch LSU, to watch Texas A&M, curious about the bunting, because maybe their team doesn't have quite the firepower that the Tigers do, but you've seen the Tigers drop down bunts and execute here early.
Well, it makes you diverse offensively, and you see some teams around the country that are doing that.
McMullen strokes one to right. This ball will stay in play and give Jones a chance to score. And Sean McMullen, a 2-hit evening already, and he's made it 3-0 LSU.
Well, as we talked about early, neat story. Here's a young man that went to a JC to get better at Delgado's because he wanted to play at LSU, and gets a pitch on the inside part of the plate and did a great job of keeping his hands inside the ball and keeping that ball fair. If he hooks that ball, he's going to hook it foul. Good piece of hitting right there.
Jones able to score easily, and it's a 3-0 Tigers lead, and that will do it for Matt Kent. We knew it was a possibility of having a number of pitchers throw for A&M this evening, with Parker Ray pushed back, so it'll be a call to the bullpen. We'll fill you in on who the next pitcher is when we come back. Short night for Matt Kent. He's removed here in the top of the second. 3 runs home for LSU as Texas A&M has gone to the bullpen to bring on Jason Freeman.
Well, Jason Freeman is 87-90. He's going to have great command of his fastball inside and out, and that's his pitch. His slider's pretty good. He'll go to that with 2 strikes, but really for him to be effective, he's got to be able to control that fastball in and out.
6'4" sophomore from Mansfield, Texas. Redshirted back in 2011, and busy man last year, 28 appearances and on here in the second inning, and doesn't get much easier now towards the heart of this LSU lineup with Foster and then possibly Bregman and Katz.
Well, that's where you got to credit A&M for shutting them down last night, because this is a very, very fine offensive club. They've got a lot of diversity. They can beat you so many different ways. They can steal a base, or they can, as you saw, safety bunt or swing the bat. Really like LSU.
As you're seeing Coach Paul Maneri, one of the things he's been asked here in recent weeks by people wondering if his team has a weakness. What do you need to improve upon? What do these Tigers need to do better? And he rarely hesitates. He says get more clutch hitting, more hits with men on base, and that's where this inning probably has helped his spirits a bit.
Well, he's been talking about that, and it's the one thing. And the other thing is stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, the one thing I like about LSU is
Aleman with the bobble, and he's still going to get the out at first base. So Jared Foster retired on a play, and Jason Freeman needed just one pitch to end the second. So a 3-run second for the Tigers, and this bobble helped end the inning.